wait. And baby, I'm TFC till I die.
Hello and welcome back to Toronto Till I Die, the Toronto FC fan show. And look, you can't call yourself a fan show if you don't talk about what all the fans are talking about. And clearly that is the current disarray, again, of Toronto FC and specifically the events this past weekend at BMO Field, the messages that have come out on both sides since then. Jeffrey Pinesker with me as always. We'll talk about that. We also have Thomas Benzone coming on from the Blazing Musket. We'll talk a little bit about New England, both the game this past weekend at BMO Field against New England, but also just how they've been able to turn around their season. And they're starting to look like a little bit of a threat at the bottom part of the Eastern Conference. Jeffrey, how you doing? It's been a while since we've been on. We've been busy. All three of us have been
tell me about
all
it.
over the place with our respective careers. But how are you?
Yeah, my hands are shaking, man. That's too much coffee today. Honestly, I don't know what it's been. It hasn't been that long, but because I've been doing other stuff on my computer, I don't actually remember how to produce this show. So if I accidentally kill this stream by mistake, sorry guys. Blame it on the massive amounts of espresso that I've had to keep myself awake. How am I doing? It's fun. This is fun. It's been hilarious on the socials today, especially as it's sort of this feedback loop of unhappiness continues. I mean, I hate soccer, right? I don't want to talk about European soccer, and who cares? Who cares about anything?
I mean, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know when to bring it up, so I'll just bring it up now because I've got it on lock here. But man, there's some great tweets out in the Twitterverse, and Notre Todd Footy comes off the top rope with an all-timer. Here we go. The way TFC fans are complaining about the team is the most we're all Leafs fans behavior, and I hate you all. Fans are going to push the club into signing Michael Pekka and Hal Gill, and I'm going to drown myself in the lake. I'm not even going to pretend that I know who Hal Gill and Michael Pekka are. They sound familiar.
Very old hockey
but
players.
I imagine they're terrible.
Michael
this is
very good.
That's probably why I remember his name then. Michael Peck the Pick of Peppers or something. I think that was that. Who cares? It's crazy out there. What was my response to Jay? My response was what I think I'll probably mention 100 times. I agree with that sentiment. I think we are overreacting in the extreme. But I don't know. Everybody has a Waterloo. And for me, the moment that Lorenzo Insigne wore the armband for this club in that game was my Waterloo. That was where everything fell apart. My patience, my trust in the process, my belief in the people that are making decisions at the club, making the right decision, completely inexplicable to me. And I know that there may be a million different things that I don't know. Maybe Lorenzo Insigne has been a model student in the trainings that he's invited to, but just the tone deafness of it. Let's even pretend that it's a 50-50 split, which I no longer believe, between people that are just career Insigne stands and people like me that would, drive him to the airport for free. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's 50-50, but even if it was, that's a glaring oversight by the club to allow something like that to happen, to basically antagonize 50% of your fan base. For what? For another -3 points at home? It burst my bubble. And I had a huge amount of Gallows, and I'll get it back. I mean, my patience with the club is gone, but my desire to lean into a bit and embrace the Gallows humor, well, that's never going away. But it will be a very different experience watching TFC for the rest of this season, because I can't even call it apathy anymore. It's anger. I mean, what the hell was that? What in the hell was that? And Durant.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, I sympathize with that. I also sympathize with those who are really upset for a lot of different reasons, like the supporters groups during the weekend. 114 has already expressed the why, with members being banned and things like that. And, not to get too deep into all of the machinations and politicking of all of that kind of stuff on both sides of the table.
Sure.
Staged a walkout. I don't think it was unreasonable, and for the other supporter groups to not chant, I don't think is unreasonable either. Like, everybody's coming out with statements, which is wild to me. Like, the club came out with a statement, Keith Pelly came out with a statement, all the groups are coming out with statements. It's an interesting time because. And I said it. I wasn't at the game Saturday. I had to stay away for personal reasons. But as I was sort of watching the beginning of that game, I kind of realized, like, this club in something's disconnected, something's broken, something.
It's rudderless. They're rudderless. It's a ship without a rudder.
It really is, and it's beyond just wins and losses, right? Like, we've seen this team lose a lot in hilarious fashions and great fashions, funny fashions, bad fashions, all sorts of ways. And in a lot of ways, I think the club prior, and people don't want to live in the past. I understand that, but there was a period of time in which there were people in charge that were putting together a way, a philosophy, an ethos of how to be a Toronto FC player, how to act as a club, and that's been tossed out the window for various reasons that we don't know all of the sort of behind the scenes machinations of all of that, but that has clearly been abandoned in a lot of ways, and it leaves fans with the feeling, whether this is true or not, I will leave that interpretation up to the viewer, but it does make people feel like there's just people in positions that aren't fully there for all the reasons, all the best reasons, put it that way. And now you have this disconnect from fans to the club where the fans don't feel connected to the club, to the players. The club seems like it's just trying to throw hands and say, look, we're at this point. What are we gonna do? And you get this sort of, what you end up getting is what you got from Keith Pelly on Monday, right? Which was ghostwritten, but his name's on it. And I'll read it out. Yeah, I'll read it out to you.
Before you do, because my brain will explode. You've given me so many things to respond to. I mean, we're all hypocrites right now. This is what happens when you lose for 5 years in a row. We're overreacting. We're hypocrites. We're using every logical fallacy in the book. It absolutely is. I mean, just right now, like these words came out of your mouth. We don't want to live in the past, and yet half of the people on the social machines are calling for the return to day one pricing. Like, that's how mental this all. You know what I mean? But we don't want to live in the past, and then we're talking about getting the club ethos back, which was in the past. And realistically, if we're going to listen to Michael Bradley's, one of his parting gifts to us was when, stop thinking about 2017. It's over. We need to create a new identity that's realistic to MLS right now. I mean, look, we're floundering. We're treading water, and everybody has their Waterloo. I just think that everybody is coming to theirs at around the same time. This is, the letter that you're about to read is indicative of this. This club can't do anything, whether by machinations that are above and beyond our pay grade, i.e. the board has completely closed the purse strings, or an inability to do anything, or a desire to only do things that sort of have a zero sum kind of definition. But I mean, think about it, like the sunk cost fallacy. How much money have they now lost holding on to this impossible boat anchor of a contract, right? Like, when will enough be enough? And I think that attitude permeates everything. I mean, again, go finish what you were doing, but like, we are in a feedback loop where all we're getting is the same old over and over again, and everybody is baying for a move to be made. I mean, personally, you know what move I'd like to see made. Other people would like return to day one pricing or, special privileges or whatever. But this is because the club hasn't done anything. So now it seems like it's open season for everybody to kind of mad lib their own thoughts and desires into what TFC needs to do to get us back. Right? Like this is how bad it is, right? Like it's become a battle of pearl clutching victimhood from absolutely everybody in this equation because the center doesn't hold. Nature abhors a vacuum. We'll leave Calcio Kulo's comment for later. I'm going to star that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't always trust everything Sportico puts out there, but because they, some of that is on speculation, but. Yeah, look, I hear what you're saying. Like, for sure, this is more about pent up frustration over years, not particularly one game or a set of games this season, right? This is Absolutely. About, a couple of years of words and promises and things that just don't turn out. And I think there is this also sense that, and I get this not just from hardcore fans, but I
are there any casual fans left?
All three
of them.
Well, I get, people now recognize me from doing this. They recognize the things I've done at TFC, so they'll ask me all the time about the team and what's going on, and at a certain point, you can't keep coming back with the same answer. Well, they lost again. They missed on another signing again. And to the point where it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna bother, right? And that's kind of where we're at. Like, you're always gonna have your hardcore people. They'll complain. They'll be loud about it, but they'll be there. And then you have, these casual people that the club really wants to attract back to the stadium and get them back in to help with that atmosphere. And they're just like,
one way to do it.
Other things
win games. One way to do it. I mean, you can pretend otherwise, but there is one way to do it. Yeah, and they seem to be running, screaming from getting anywhere closer to that.
Well, I mean, you're really, I'll read what Keith Pally says, but if you read between the lines, it's like, listen, like, we've just got a contract, a roster full of bad contracts that we just can't do anything with right now.
I'll
read it, and then you give me your response. So, to TFC's faithful fans, we hear you, we understand your frustration. We know what you want. We know that you want to return to winning ways at BMO Field. I can promise you that no one wants that. And is
this is the tongue twister part where when you read it, you were like, "Oh,"
and is working to deliver that more than those within this club. We want to deliver that for you more than anything else, to reward your passion and support of this club. At the end of last season, I spoke about the fact that Toronto FC must undergo a full rebuild. Some important steps have been taken, but there is obviously much more to do. The foundation of this rebuild is an ethos that will guide this club not only this season, but for many seasons ahead. An identity forged in pride and in unrelenting compete level. We have seen evidence of that identity and mindset taking roots at times this season, although admittedly, it was not at the level we expect in the 2 matches this past week. Our supporter groups expressed their frustration on Saturday, and we not only respect that, we expect it when we fall short. The most important part of this rebuild process, and it has been throughout every moment in club history, both highs and lows, is your support. We will stop at nothing to restore the pride in the Toronto FC badge and deliver you the winner that you deserve, but we need you there with us. Any rebuilding project is challenging, but is made much easier with focus, determination, and unity. When we return Toronto FC to its place as a contender in MLS, it will make these challenging moments well worth it, and we all know that we truly did it together. Thank you for your continued support, Keith Pally, President and CEO, MLSE. So,
blah, 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 blah.
Well, I mean,
blah.
Yes, to us, yes. I can't be a hypocrite. I've always said that, you hang on to the dark days because it makes winning a cup after all the years of being bad taste really nice. But I think also, in that there's an appeal to the bottom line too. Like, they need people to come out to the games, and the last thing they want is casuals coming. Like, I saw posts on Saturday with casuals being like, what's going on in the South End? We come here for the atmosphere. There's no atmosphere. Like, watching it on Apple TV, I mean, was it funeral? Like, it was like, there's a, like, you know,
I have expected taps to happen like halfway through the first half, you know what I mean? Like, just like a military funeral. But we'll stop at nothing. BS, absolute horse pucky. Is it this? I mean, there are no free rides. Like, how many different ways can you say the same thing that you're not willing to do? I mean, we'll stop at nothing. It seems like they stopped at writing a chat GPT letter that took them 5 seconds to do. The arrogance of this. I mean, the like, this idea that like this letter will satisfy, you know, sometimes it's better to say nothing at all. I think I've mentioned this before, but one of my least favorite things about festivaling a film, taking a film on the road to film festivals, is that quite often the film festival gives you an opportunity to present the film to an audience. So you get to get up as the director or the writer or the editor or whatever case may be, and make a 20-minute mea culpa. You know, I know that, you know, this battle scene was supposed to be, it's shot in New Zealand, but I shot it in my parents' backyard, you know, because I ran out of money, sort of thing. None of that matters. A movie lives or dies on the audience's enjoyment of it. When they walk into the theater to a standard multiplex, you're not there giving them the sort of prelude that softens the blow of whether it sucks or not. You don't have that opportunity, so you shouldn't have it at all. This is arrogance. Like, this is that same kind of mea culpa, like trying to, like, thinking that you're the smartest people in the room, thinking that you have a finger on the pulse of the fan base, something that you've demonstrated to be demonstrably false by giving that fraud the armband. And I don't care whose idea it was. It was the most tone-deaf thing I've seen this club do in a very, very long time. Just the outright arrogance of it. And I think that's why we're getting a response equally aggravated, because it's a provocation. It's a shot across the bow. I mean, who do they think they are? You can't say that we're sophisticated soccer fans all the time and then expect to put a fire out with something that you cooked up in that my cat could have done with chat GPT and infinite keyboards. Like, it's not enough anymore. It's not enough anymore. And like I keep saying, the center doesn't hold. Now you've got intercity warfare between the supporters groups. You've got, I can't even remember who it was, but you've got tweets coming out from the casuals that the club are so interested in capturing that are so presumptuous. Like, this one guy is positing that because the South End gets a discounted ticket, right? This supposition that they're so heavily discounted, because the South End gets discounted tickets, that we all have to be dancing performance for them. That for some reason now we're owned by the casuals, and that we have to somehow rise to the occasion. And if we're not there, then we're somehow doing supporters culture and being unfair to the reduced price of our tickets. I mean, this is chaos. This is absolute chaos.
Well, I mean, I think you made a good point at the beginning. Like, it is slightly an overreaction to some extent, but at the same time, it is also a buildup of, watching a
two
team.
things. Yeah, both things can be true at once.
Yeah, that watching a team that just like looks inept. And
doesn't appear to want to do anything tangible to fix it. They're essentially asking us to sit on our hands for the rest of the season like they are. And it's not our problem. Like, I can sit on my hands at home. It's way more comfortable than traveling an hour and a half to get to BMO to leave in a worse mood than when I arrive. Like, stop it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, look, they didn't say it. They probably should have been clearer about it at the end of last season. They're talking about rebuild. You can talk about all the, Kings of the North, Red Patch put out a joint statement today. I'm not going to read the whole thing. We reposted it today, so check on our socials. You can read it there.
Mm-hmm.
and 114 put up a post as well, more specifically talking about their individual situation, and explaining the walkout. It's not. I'm not judging either way, right? Like, it's just that is what they're just explaining what happened, right? Like, I think, you know, at the end of the day, the underlying current and theme behind that is there have been a lot of talk, a lot of promises, a lot about rebuild and culture setting and
no
all of
free
this,
rides and blah blah yada yada yada
and yada yada yada. Yet you're right. You still see Lorenzo Insigne here. Okay, look. I'm sure in training he's being a professional and he is showing up to training and he's doing the work, but it's not enough, right? Like, if he goes out there and is completely ineffectual every time he steps on the pitch, he's ineffectual, right? He doesn't impact good or bad. Funny enough, he's just there. And, like, you know, and that was what you would call somebody who is on a free ride, right? That is a free ride. Is a dude who is literally just there, sort of being a
soaking
passenger,
it up,
just being a passenger. And that is a visual representation to a lot of people of what is wrong with Toronto FC at the moment, right? Is this guy's making a lot of money, who is on the pitch and is not impactful. And and again, I will always go back to the fact that I hate the DP tag, because it does make one individual player supposed to be, you know, overshine the other players, but but that is the reality of MLS, and you make that money, and people are going to expect that, and if you don't, you get a lot of that stick, and I think that is just a microcosm of the things that TFC fans are looking at and saying, like, you go out and you make these promises. I admit they swung big. It didn't work. At a certain point, you have to jettison when it doesn't work. And they've held on for too long. And now you're in this situation where Lorenzo Insigne gets booed when he goes onto the pit. Like that, as much as we knew that kind of could happen, that is still a bit wild, right? Like a player that has won a European championship, has done all he's done in his career, goes on the pitch and gets.
Are we sure it's the same guy? Like, we didn't get his like evil twin brother.
We
by
get his
mistake?
brother.
Like,
we get his actual. Actually get his brother. But like no, but like that's just crazy. And like, you know, somebody said it. I can't remember who on the MLS show, one of the MLS shows. But they're talking about, you know, we all look at Federico Bernardeschi as the best player on the team, but we're like, the bar is set so low that him just trying hard, we're like, oh my god, like,
oh my god, give him the Oscar. I mean?
He tries really hard, like, you know. For $6 million a year, like, you would hope somebody would try hard. That should be the base minimum of what you get from a player.
His numbers are atrocious for the salary that he's on. It's atrocious, and you know.
So go ahead. I was just going to say, like, the last thing on this is that when you look at this team and the way it's constructed right now, to sort of bring things onto the pitch, right? You just look at a bunch of players that you look at them and you're like, are you an actual building block to something? Like, you look at the 11, you look at the 18 on each match day, and these are nice, like, they're nice players, like they're players that you can kind of root for. But if I really am honest and I really sit down and say, are these like foundational pieces? There's only a couple on this team that I could say, like, okay, you can keep them around to be a part of the base. Not even be necessarily everyday starters, but be a part of the base. Nixon Gomes, you know, hope he can recover well.
There you go.
Looks like he's going to be out for a while. You know, I guess I'll put Kosi in there. I'm not fully
Every
sold,
one of them comes with an asterisk, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like, Oso's too old. Kosi, is he a fullback, or like what's going on? Like, Gomes, is he going to come back like Ayo Akinola? You know, is this injury going to undo his career? Let me add to the chorus of asterisks. I don't think the stank of this collective locker room, I think it's festered and metastasized to the point that, quite honestly, everything must go. And I think that might even include guys who are tied to the old days, like the Osos and the Richies and the, you know, et cetera, et cetera. I just think that now it's metastasized, and there's hurt feelings and things left unsaid and resentment, just pathways of resentment everywhere. And this idea that it's all somebody else's fault, right? Like, the first thing that people do now when they're judging TFC players is what they were doing with Lorenzo, that annoying thing where they were like, oh my God, if you just put him with 10 other people, he'll be amazing. It's like, well, that's not realistic. And also eat garbage, like eat trash. Like that's such a stupid thing to raise. But you see that, like Fede, we're paying him $6 million, but imagine Fede with a totally different team. How about no? The proof is in the pudding. This is what you get for $6 million. Like, we don't have a million, like millions and billions. I mean, if you trust the release from MLS EPR, or the Sportico thing, which is another reason why we're in free fall, because on the same day we're equally one of the richest clubs in the world, and we have absolutely no money. I mean, that's the same day. That's the same day. But again, that's the same day. We are on this like crazy pendulum. Look, I think it's very similar to the Whitecaps. Like, think about how a Whitecaps fan must be feeling right now. Like, every last pundit on MLS picked them to finish last in their conference, and they're on such a heater right now. Like, they might do a treble. Like, they might change the narrative for Canadian teams, and deservedly so. I mean, we've dropped the ball in a way that since 2018 we've gone, no, it can't get worse than this. It can't get worse than this, and then they keep finding a new level of awful.
Well, I mean, look, the last 2 weeks, the last 2 games, I should say. Sorry. I mean, look, we'll get into the New England loss in a second. We'll have Thomas on in a few moments here.
Oh man, he set himself up. Like, are you looking at his?
Yeah,
like,
I've seen it. So in a few moments we'll chat about that. But let's quickly chat about the Canadian Championship loss, the V's Cup loss to Montreal. A 2-2 draw officially, and then lose on penalties. Look, it's a game where you had 2 teams that are not particularly good footballing teams at the moment kind of play each other. And, in the end of the day, this is you just saw everything that is sort of TFC at the moment. This is a team that will struggle to score. Now, granted, okay, Theo Corbiano had a pretty decent game, but this is kind of the... there it is. That's the talent, and then you're just not going to see it again for the next couple of weeks. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like he's
the best example. We're like, put him on the right forever, and then there we goes in the New England game, and it's like, please take him off the right, please get him off the pitch immediately. Like, absolutely. And then you watch TFC Socials put out this feel good video where 2 guys that can't be on the field for more than 22 nanoseconds are talking about their breakfast plans. It's like, I could give an S about your breakfast plans and what coffee you like. Do something on like who? And we're gonna get a whole series of them driving to lose. I
feel bad on social because they set that all.
So
up
do I.
But
somebody made a really good point. Somebody did make a really good point. The algorithm hates when you do that. Like, they drop 3 videos in one day. Like, do they want them to all get 0 views? That's not how you YouTube. So something weird's going on here. Where there might be.
Didn't they drop that on like Monday or Tuesday? So like they're reacting to the weekend where your supporter groups walked out and your fan base was kind of like, what the hell? What's going on right now? So
you panic drop all of your content. Wouldn't it be easier to just hold on to it until eventually late, like in the same way that the Pelly thing came out? Like, the decisions that are being made are almost universally the wrong one. Like, don't give us the video.
Well,
no one's the wiser. Like, don't write the letter. No one's the wiser. Right? Like, if maybe we have less to rage about on our show. Maybe Thomas is on for an hour and we talk about how great the New England Revolution are suddenly, and but like, it's just it's mind-boggling. It's like every decision is wrong. God.
Yeah. Before we bring Thomas on, the last thing I'll just sort of talk about here is, I'm sure there's probably listeners right now saying like, why aren't you talking about anything tactical on the field? The reality is that there isn't much to talk about tactically because this team is what can we say that hasn't already been said tactically about this team? Like realistically,
I mean, I have some questions for Thomas about what he noticed, what we were doing tactically, because it was an absolute kamikaze run of insanity. But I'd like to get his feeling on it. Absolutely,
for sure. From our perspective, the reality is that, you know, it's still true this season. It was the same last season. It was the same the season before. You crumble when teams pressure you, can't control the ball. You turn the ball over in terrible spots. And then once you go down a goal, it's really hard for this team to find any way back in terms of scoring goals. Like there is no outlet to score goals. And we talked about this in the preseason, right? We knew that was going to be something in the preseason. Where are the goals going to come from? And this sort of, we're going to,
who knows, but Ula's really good at making breakfast. I mean, so there's that.
Exactly. Right? Let's bring on Thomas Benzone here. Let's talk about.
Please go. Are you going to bring him on, or should I? My mouse is out of battery. So
hey, Thomas.
Hey.
Gentlemen,
this is his citizenship test, I think.
Well, just, solidarity, going,
Yeah, exactly. Thomas is everybody from Revolution Recap and the Blazing Musket. Thomas, welcome back to the show. Wanted to chat with you. It's been a while since we chatted with you. But
a lot's happened.
A lot's happened.
He's gone from like calling for Caleb Porter's head on a daily basis to like being a well-adjusted guy, and now we're the ones that are screaming and hopping mad. So yeah,
I mean, what happened?
Well, you tell us, man. Like what has happened on your end?
Our savior, Caleb Porter, for the second year in a row, rolls out his game model that he talks about during the preseason. We're going to do this. We're going to do this with the ball. We're going to attack. We're going to open up. Blah 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 blah. It doesn't work, right? So he does the same thing that he did last year, but this year he just did it earlier, which and Matt Doyle, by the way, predicted this in February. He said the first thing that a Caleb Porter team does when it's struggling, it takes the playing out of the back stuff and throws it out the window. And now they've just shifted to being the balance has been shifted very, very heavily to just defending. Just defend all the time. And it's not even playing on the counter. The team actually, the counterattacks that we saw against Toronto, that was not normal. That, to me, if I was a Toronto fan, that would be a little alarming. Like the team that doesn't counterattack hit us on the counter.
Where did
I know.
Yeah, we talked.
Yeah. I mean that was the second after we turned Veroni, your previous best friend, into a superhero in the Canadian Championship, right? Like he plays for Montreal now and made us look like we were, Getafe versus Barcelona. So
Put it that way, that's how Richard felt.
It's been a great week.
On Saturday. Look, you're right in the sense of that, but like I don't know if you heard me prior to you coming on, but the things that TFC have really struggled with in the last couple of seasons is, look, you put a modicum amount of pressure on them in the back when they're trying to play out of the back, and you can make them turn the ball over in terrible spots. Terrible for them, great for the opponent.
Yeah.
You kind of benefited on the first goal, right? Like Kosi Thompson's terrible giveaway on a little bit of pressure led to that first goal.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like the Revs, they definitely try to press up high. Maybe a little bit more this year than last year, at least in the first half. Yeah, the other thing is, I get to try and remember which half of the game we're talking about, because we're really talking about two different teams. I mean, this team is totally different in the second half to the first half. But they try to press high quite a bit in the first half, but they're typically not like they're just running around. Like it looks good and they're expending energy, but they don't actually win the ball high up the field like the first goal. That again, that's pretty rare. So the Revs are.
You're welcome.
So you're telling us we make you look like game pressing geniuses is what we're doing. Yeah.
I mean, their average height of defensive actions is like 38 meters, and in the game against Toronto, it was 43. It hasn't been over 40 the entire season.
That's because it goes to the first point, is that we tried to play the ball at the back, and aside from maybe Zane Monlouise, who's injured, you'll get it. The running theme of Toronto FC, players that could give us some promise, injured, can't handle the ball. Like they just can't under pressure.
I know, but the thing is, though, I've watched about I don't know, maybe 3 games worth of Toronto games this season. And look, I'd very rarely watch the entire game, but I'd watch 30 minutes here, 40 minutes there. Like, oh, okay, I'll put the second half on or whatever. And like, there's definitely sustained periods of time where at least defensively things look relatively solid. Like,
I think I know what games you watch bits and pieces of, but
yeah, but it's like you can kind of see what they're trying to do, and if you had a functional, trio of designated players, that's really what a lot of teams rely on. They sit back, they soak up pressure, they win the ball back, and then they hit the DPs on the counter. I mean, Jesus Christ, Lorenzo. As an
you sure you're not a TFC season ticket holder? Or you? Because everybody's
yeah.
No, but I watch, I follow, I listen to the show, I'm trying to keep up international relations, and it's like he's just such a disappointment. Even like he only plays the refs twice a year, right? So if you're watching MLS on a regular basis, like I do, you want to see somebody like an Insigne come over and have success. Like, it's good for the league. Again, I'm an American. I follow the Italian national team more than I follow the American national team because of many, many reasons that we don't have time to get into tonight. But
Thomas, you're in America and you're you're in front of a Canadian flag. We realize how schizophrenic you are, my friend.
Close to Canada, we're afraid to leave the country because we don't know if we'll be allowed back in. But,
I'm not coming there to visit, not for a little while. Not until I get a burner phone. Yeah.
It's too risky. It's a nut house down here. But anyway, I mean, so that you can definitely see like periods of play where I thought this game was going to be 0-0.
I actually kind of thought it would be like 1-1.
Yeah,
this
is going to be bad. No one's going to watch this game back ever. The teams, no one. But yeah, I mean, that was probably the best performance the Reds have had all season by a decent distance.
So then, can I ask you, just as again, somebody who's kind of looking at Toronto FC right now, the only reason we're not bottom of the East is somehow, some way, Montreal are worse than we are. There's some, I don't even know how, but obviously the season didn't start off well, and then it's kind of turned around in like the last 4 or 5 games for the Revs. So what would you sort of point to as the sort of, hey, this is kind of maybe a change that's been made that has gotten the Revs some valuable results?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, it's definitely the switch to a back 3, which is it's really a back 5. And the personnel that are out there now, that they're basically playing with 7 defenders. I mean, you can say it's 3 center backs and 2 wing backs and 2 defensive mids. It's 7 defenders, and they're tough to break down. Carlos Hill, he works tremendously hard on defense. In the long run, I don't think it's good. I think he's being asked to do too much. Like, he's not getting any younger, and you're asking him to press throughout the game. And then even like Campagna and Ganago, I mean, there's times where the entirety of the team is just outside the top of the 18, Campagna included. And that's what they've relied on. They've relied on a heavy focus on defending, slow the tempo down. When they win the ball back, they don't. Again, the Toronto game aside, they don't really counterattack. If they win the ball on the right side, they play 3-4 passes, they work it back, they play it across the back line, and then they try and go up the other side. But it's automatic. Like, there's been times where someone has the ball and is starting to carry it forward, and you can literally see Caleb Porter on the side going, slow it down, and they go, oh, right, we don't counterattack. And because there's still, even with the ball, trying to slow the tempo. So when we have the ball, slow it down. When we don't have the ball, slow. It doesn't matter. Just slow this game down and basically try and reduce this game down to as few consequential moments as humanly possible, and hope that we come out the other side because we have Carlos Hill, who continues to, he just continues to defy what you can ask of one.
Yeah, absolute banger. Galazzo.
It's ridiculous. Like, he keeps doing it, but the story of this team, maybe 2021 be the only exception, but since Carlos has been here, if he's not in the team, there's nothing. There's not even it's not even that he's scoring the goals and getting the assists. It's that he draws the attention of of the opponents. Right, he wins fouls. He makes someone like Campagna makes his life easier. Makes somebody like Will Sands, who needs all the space he can get. He gets a little bit more space. So like he elevates everyone else's play. And again, you just look at Toronto. And I was talking about this on Revolution Recap. I said if you watch Toronto play, that's really what the Revs would look like if you took Carlos Hill out of the equation. You take him out.
I was about to say, like, that's the difference right now. The difference is, like, we don't have a player that draws that kind of attention currently. So
well, we did, and then like this is my question to Thomas. I mean, living on this precipice, right? Like, because we were there. Carlos is a tough player to replace. And you guys have done absolutely no work on the succession plan, right? So when he falls off a cliff, you're going to end up where we were when we, lost our talisman, right? Or talisman, if you want to subscribe it to Sebastian Giovinco, right? I didn't mean to interrupt you that egregiously.
No. All I was saying was just like, all I was saying is that, like, right now, like, yes, you're right, but right now we don't have a player like a Carlos Hill who can just suck defenders' attention away.
Yeah.
Right. So when we do try to counterattack, right? That's what we're trying to do. Similar to the way the Revs play right now, we essentially have 7 defenders. Like, basically we have our 3 center backs, our 2 wing backs, and we have 2 holding midfielders. Jonathan Osorio kind of being a shuttling midfielder, not really a traditional sort of defensive midfielder. And then Davy Flores, who just goes everywhere and tries to do everything. But on the counter, like, Federico, I guess, but everybody knows what Federico's trying to do. So, you maybe, he may get away with it 1 or 2 times, but generally speaking, he can be shut down because he's a winger. And he's not coming to the middle very often. Lorenzo, again, kind of as a passenger at the moment, right? Like, he's not really providing you with anything, like, neither good or bad, right? He's like, if it's a plus minus, he's kind of just a 0. There's just nothing. And then you have Theo, right? And then you have Theo Corbiano, who on the other wing, who you can see could potentially, right, like, be something, but just, it's inconsistent, and his decision making is not great in the final third. And he's got moments where he's great, and then there's other moments where it's just, you just don't know what he's gonna do, essentially, and that's it. That's it. So if
you had the kid there, Kerr,
Spicy T. DeAndre, he's injured. His foot fell off.
I know, but like, he had a couple goals early in the season, right? I think he had a good header early on in the game.
Oh, gorgeous header,
right?
Yeah.
You need 6 or 7 of those a year. Right,
and the problem is they need to be fit to get those 6 or 7 a year.
It's like, right? Okay, great. Now he's hurt. Like, okay, what are we going to do now, right? And then like Lorenzo thing. Oh my God, what a nightmare! He was supposed to be gone. How is he still there?
15. I'll give you 15 million reasons.
So we had this conversation before.
No, I know you guys do it every week.
No, we have it every week. But I mean, the cliff notes. I did this to my producer today. I said the Coles notes, and she was completely silent on the other end. And I was like, I keep forgetting you're an American. The Cliffs notes, we call them Coles notes over here, but the Coles notes basically is, they thought they had a move. They wanted to emerge with some kind of benefit to the move. They did nothing. The moves fell apart, and here we are. And then they gave him the armband, which is my favorite part.
Well, that's the thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
Just really quickly, just the thing that, and what has led to, like, the process and the silent movement on the weekend, and why it sounded like a graveyard when you watch the game and stuff like that, is that I think supporters have now become so disillusioned with all of the promises, the talk from front office, the constant changes of head coach, the idea that, okay, Lorenzo isn't going to work out, he should probably be gone. Then you ice him for the first 4 games of the season. Then you bring him back inexplicably for a game in New York
that we lose,
and then he goes from cancer to captain.
Yeah,
I guess that's probably the first part of it that you could probably put on Robin Fraser, right? Because it's like,
I don't think it is on him.
No, I think he's a pilot.
To the players.
Mm-hmm.
He picked.
Oh no, he lost the room the second the front office did that to him.
And he
right, 100%.
I'm being told to do this, right?
Yep.
Until you got to wait till he leaves now to find out what was really going on. I mean, it's just
100%, and yeah. I mean, getting back to the two questions I wanted to ask you before I forget completely. Caleb Porter, is he still on your S list, or are you buying him? Is he on the naughty list or the nice list? Or
all right, so speaking on behalf of Revolution fans, a lot of people have very quickly come around to this guy in the last 4 to 5 weeks. I have not, and I'm in the minority now, and I'm fully prepared. I will die on this hill alone if I.
Let's go, baby! Yeah,
he is a survivalist, and there's nothing to. People want to believe in Caleb Porter. There's nothing to believe in. He doesn't believe. For someone with the arrogance and the ego that he has, he actually doesn't believe in himself, because he has a game. He has a way that he thinks the game should be played. And when it hits the fan and he thinks, oh boy, you know what? I'm under a lot of heat here. There's rumors going around that maybe my job's on the line. You know, I'm when he gets to that point, he got to that point last year in June. He got to that point much earlier this year. Middle of April, he got to that point. He takes it's. You know what it is? It's basically like the new manager bounce. Basically, Caleb, like one side of him fires the other side and then takes over.
It's like Severance. He got into the car one
his
day.
Innie and his Audi.
The Audi left and the Innie didn't work.
Yeah. And his Innie's Diego Simeone or the worst side of Jose Mourinho. Yeah. That's an interesting show. Yeah.
But this is the thing. His preferred way of playing is a very flawed interpretation of Barcelona when Pep was there. Now he's doing a flawed interpretation of like Catenaccio and Jose Mourinho, and he's now doing a bad imitation of that, right? Like what's his name? Rocco Neri, the guy that invented Catenaccio back in the 60s, right? He said people misinterpret what I did. They only took the defensive elements and they forgot that we had a libero that scored 24 goals in Serie A.
Yeah, exactly.
Forget the attacking part. So that's what we have now. So there's a large group of people that have reemerged on Reddit and wherever else you can find Revs fans. I don't really Reddit. Personally Reddit.
I love Reddit. I'm sorry, I'll die on that hill. I love Reddit.
Oh,
yeah, I love
horrible.
it. Oh man, Reddit's the best. Yeah. We'll talk about this later. Nah, Reddit's awesome. Reddit's awesome.
So a lot of people coming around, and it's basically, look, the team's winning, and I just want to cheer for a winning team. And I understand that. I totally understand that. But I want to cheer for a team that's winning and is entertaining and plays in a particular style. Like, so I'm looking forward to this game, not what FootMob says at the end of the game. Because you don't care what it looks like. And people get bent out of shape when I say this, but like, if you don't care what it looks like, then there's no reason to watch. Like, I want the Red Sox to finish in first place and win the World Series. I don't watch baseball anymore. It's just, there's too many games. The games are too long, right? But I keep tabs on the rest. I just go, oh yeah, look at that, Giolito. I get a quality start tonight. Great, whatever. I'm not gonna watch the game because I don't really care what it looks like. So that's the part I don't get. And I have to be careful about this stuff because people call you a Euro snob. But like the first decade that I watched soccer, I pretty much only watched. Sorry, Jeffrey.
I know.
Tottenham. I know. Barcelona and Ajax, right? Because the fans of those teams, particularly Barcelona and Ajax, there's an expectation that you are going to play the way that we expect you to play if you want to stick around here in Amsterdam or if you want to stick around here in Barcelona. And maybe it was a long time ago to a lesser extent. If you want to stick around this particular part of North London, which we know, of course.
Stop it.
Nobody cares about. I know.
Yeah.
Made
me drop my pen.
There's an expectation. Like there were people that even when Conte had Tottenham flying high, like I don't care. Like this isn't why I'm a fan of this club. But I understand that mentality, at least with most New England Revolution fans, it's just look, if the team wins, I don't care what it looks like. And if we have 30% of the ball and we beat Charlotte, we're gonna tell Charlotte to do one for the week. Like, so I get it, but I also don't get it at the same time.
Well, I think it's funny because in a lot of ways that can parallel Toronto in a sense, but right now we're kind of pining for this period of time between 2015 and 2020 where we played a certain way under a certain manager and under a certain general manager / president of football, if you want to call what he was Bez's role at the time was. But like that's kind of and now that's the North Star. Right. And people kind of say you can't think about the past and you shouldn't go back to the past. You got to build a new future. But can you blame fans for that? Right. When that was your most successful period and you played attractive football and you beat a lot of teams and won a cup and, you know, won a treble.
Had an identity.
Identity. Right. Like, can you blame?
Look forward to?
Yeah, can you blame fans for wanting to be like, hey, I get that it's not going to be exactly the same. You know, this manager's not going to be exactly Greg Vanney. This person's not exactly going to be Tim Bezbatchenko. But, like, we built a way and we had a formula and it works. Why are we going about trying to, I wouldn't even say reinvent the wheel because I don't think they try to invent anything. They just kind of try to slap a bunch of things together because, according to Bill Manning, they were just worried about putting butts in seats after the pandemic. Like, which in Toronto has never really been a problem. So I don't really know where that thought came from anyway.
Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, I'm just speaking about throwing anything at the wall to see if it works. This is my second question. What did you think of our tactics? I mean, obviously, Oso going down, you know, with his with half a shoulder popped out of his skeleton is you know sort of throws things caution to the wind. But let me qualify this for you. Bernadeschi and Theo are both playing as inverted wingers right now. Bernadeschi is very predictable, has one move, gets away with it like 2% of the time. Theo has been a massive disappointment, and a lot of people are saying because he's playing on the wrong side. Well, of course, that's Berna's preferred side. So Berna, for whatever reason, didn't start the Canadian Championship game against Montreal, and so Theo spent the entire game playing on his preferred side, had himself a time. What did you think? Because I mean, from us, it was just like, why do they keep switching? Like, it's chaos out there. Nothing's happening. Like, did it unnerve you guys, or were you just laughing?
No, I think the problem is it's just like Bernadeschi, players that are playing on the right side looking to cut in their left or vice versa, right? Like you said, you know that's what they're going to do, but they have to have threatening options up there with them,
exactly,
so that you can't just say, okay, look, we can have, you know, use the Revs as an example, right? If Bernadeschi gets past Peyton Miller, Tanner Beeson is coming up at him straight away, and Youssef is coming in on him as well. Mm-hmm. Like, just, it doesn't matter. Like, we are not going to get beat by Bernadeschi like ripping one from 25 yards. Like, that's not how we're going to lose this game. If we're going to lose this game, it's somebody else, right? So when you only have that one, that one guy, and if that's his best position, then okay, it's somebody else's best position too. But like, when push comes to shove, like, the other thing is too is maybe Bernadeschi could play up top, but then how are you going to get the ball to him?
No,
you can't.
We've tried that, and he's on the touchline. Like, he's a winger. Like, you're like, get into the. Our team is allergic to the center of the pitch. We have so many wingers and so many outside backs. We have nobody in the middle. It's the most frustrating thing in the world, since the goal is in the middle. I mean, unless we're inventing a new sport here, but yeah.
You're right. Certain players are like, look, I'm Federico Bernadeschi. You brought me here to play it on the right and cut into my left, and that's
how many goals are you scoring? How many have you assisted? Because in
his mind, it's, hey, if I didn't have to do everything, right? If Lorenzo, I mean, I would love to know what he actually thinks about Insigne.
Oh, I can't wait. I don't know if we're ever gonna find out, but
like, yeah, I can't do this by myself. Like, clearly. And I don't mean that like he can't do it by himself, but like,
yeah, no, but you're right. He can't do it by himself. So
built around DPs. Or like look at Charlotte. You got Ajima. The guy's insane. He's
yeah, I know.
Physical, right? You have to give him attention. but then you've got Zaha on the other side, and then you've got Pepe Bell, whatever his name is, setting things up. So we can't be too worried about Ajuman. We can't be too worried about Zaha. We can't be too worried about Pepe Bell. Whichever one we focus on, the ball goes somewhere else. And says, oh, well, why did you cover that guy?
Yeah.
Well, is he covering this guy? But when it's just Bernardeschi, and you've got this huge injury list as well, right? Like, that doesn't have. There's no continuity from like 1 week to the next. It's just, It's
and that's it, right? Like that. The thing is with this team, like we don't have a 9, we don't have a 10, we don't play with one. As a or at least we're kind of playing with one now, because Robin Fraser has sort of settled on a kind of a mix of a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, we're using a 10. We're I mean,
right, but like 10. But a 10, but like that 10. Who's that 10? It's Lorenzo.
The guy that we signed. The guy that we signed that doesn't get any minutes. His name is Maxime Dominguez.
Right, he just got here. So like, I mean, again,
are we going to be saying that 3 years from now? He did, man. The guy just got here. You got to give him a chance. He hasn't been fully blooded yet.
That's the thing, right? We have a lot of players right now who feel like they're option B. And if they work out and they show you something that's great, then become option A. But right now, it's like we got a bunch of guys who are kind of option B, and we're kind of auditioning to see if any of them can maybe move.
And the season's over in May, so it's pure vibes from this point onward, right? The season is over.
The only I would say, first of all, look, the only real issue that I've had so far with Robin Fraser, and it's not really, like you said, it's not really his fault. It's the whole Insigne thing. He needed to have him not here.
Yep.
And maybe, this the other thing. I mean, you're never really going to know who. Maybe there were other coaches that they considered that just flat out said, if he's here, no.
Well, I mean, Peter Vermees was their first choice, but or not Peter. Sorry, I'm Jim Curtin, but. He publicly said, "Hey,
is Lorenzo still there? Look, guys, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm taking the summer off.
Right.
I'm happy driving my kids to school. I need a break down here. Like, I really don't want to commute to Toronto if I'm going to deal with that guy. He's got to be gone. Because
even worse, Thomas. Maybe they promised that to Robin and then didn't deliver on it. Maybe when they hired Robin, they were like, look, we are seconds away from him signing on the dotted line to go to Turkey or wherever, who cares? Like, just vapor, get out the door. And Robin signed on that potential. And then, of course, everything fell apart. And this is what we're viewing right now. But yeah, it's, I mean, regardless of anything, the way that it was handled, and the finger pointing between the front office and Robin, and how nobody really took responsibility. And it was like, oh, he's here. And everybody else, it was like the Spider-Man meme. You know what I mean? It was like, no, it's your decision. No, it's your decision. No, it's your decision. Well, how is he supposed to have any power in the locker room? Like, you just castrated him, pardon my French, but like, you just, like, your new gaffer hasn't even unpacked his book box yet in his office, and you've already kneecapped him. And to say nothing of the fact that he's kneecapped by the fact that our roster is one guy who makes $15 million and a bunch of guys on minimum salaries that maybe shouldn't be starting every game, right? So it's just it's a disaster. But I mean, I think the healthy thing to do right now is accept this season is over. For by hook or by crook, we are now doing the same thing our front office is doing. We are counting the minutes until that contract expires, because no other moves can or should be made until that move is made. And I think that's the reason why everybody in TFC land is so upset, because they're asking us to insulate their mistakes. Patience. Be patient. No. Why should we be patient? Our ticket prices are going up. Our concessions are insane. Most of us... But most of the day ones don't live in Toronto anymore, because living in Toronto is impossible. It's an impossible mission. So most of us have now moved enough of a distance away that, I mean, let's be honest, when I lived in Toronto, getting to BMO was a pain in the nuts. So, getting there from outside of Toronto is,
BMO, it's a tough, when we were up there, it was, because we've gone to DC, we went to Montreal. We've gone to the Red Bull Stadium, and it was your metro system is much better than than ours for sure. I mean,
Mhm.
for now until yours becomes ours, but
Yeah.
Root. And
Rude,
with that, we
rude,
will end the
and
show.
yeah. Mhm.
No.
No, I don't want that to happen. I love Canada, and it's good that you're there, because if we can't take it anymore, we need to have somewhere to go. And I
Yeah,
don't like
yeah.
to fly. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
no, but seriously, like, and they're expanding the stadium too, right? So it's like under construction.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for the World Cup,
Yeah.
which we don't want
Yeah.
to.
That whole
That's a
side is
whole
like-
other.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, when the Jays played at the exhibition stadium there, it's a wonderful spot. It really is. It's a wonderful spot, and it's like its own little city. But the benefit of it being its own little city is also the detriment, wherein it's its own little city, and when getting in and out of it is a cluster.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause we
Yeah.
stayed in a hotel that was over by the airport.
Mhm.
So we took.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, that.
No, we took
that-
the I don't know. What you
Oh,
wanna call it.
the Up Express. Yeah, you took the train.
Yeah.
It was-
Yeah.
It took a little while, but like, I mean, it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
was
No,
clean.
it's not bad. It's
Wasn't
not
a
bad. It's
team.
clean. There's bathrooms in it. You can drink a beer on the fly if you want. But like, yeah,
But it's tough. I get what you're saying. It's like, why am I gonna?
yeah.
It's the same thing for Revs fans last year. Like, why am I gonna drive? It might be an hour, it might be an hour and a half to get down to Gillette.
Mhm.
It's gonna take me forever to get out of the parking lot. Like, what? Why am I doing this again? And
Yeah.
Mhm.
so Gillette, even now, I mean, Gillette, it's full of kids. It's full of youth soccer
Yeah.
kids aren't paying attention,
Yeah.
because
Well, I
gotta
mean,
give, gotta give
that's
people a reason to go.
yeah, and I think that's where TFC might be heading the season if the season goes. But knowing our track record, we probably say this right now, and then they go rip off 5 straight. That's just.
I mean,
that's MLS.
I'll eat my words. I'll eat my words if they rip off 5 straight, because
Yeah.
I'll be
But
doing backflips. But
I
yeah.
don't know. I think the discontent's real here. So
It doesn't change. This is the thing too. People are saying this now, like, "Oh, when are you going to apologize? When are you going to apologize to Caleb Porter?" Never. Everything that happened that maybe not like him still happened. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
So if things turn around in
Yeah.
Toronto, you're still justified in saying, "Okay, it's great that things have turned around," but previous to that, it's not like, let's not pretend that this is the
Yeah.
plan. Right? Let's
Mhm.
not pretend
5
that-
years
It's a happy accident. Yeah.
Step
happy
Yeah,
forward.
exactly.
exactly.
Step
4.5
forward,
years of
get Herdman in.
terribleness.
But then we'll get rid of him, right? And
Yeah. Step 3, profit. It's like, he's playing 4D chess. No, you're reacting to external stimuli. Please
Yeah.
give me a break.
Well-
I could talk forever, but I got to get back to
No,
editing.
I was literally about to say.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I'm always available.
well, Thomas, again,
Yeah,
it was
well, we
great to
play
have
it
you
one
on.
more time, so we'll see you. We'll see you the next time we play, and hopefully, we'll still be into doing this. Because,
Yeah.
God, this team, man, my goodness.
The show. I feel like we've had few positives since we
No,
started the show, because it's been
You got to
it's
stick
been
with
a world
it,
of hurt.
because people that listen to this show, they rely on the three of you to come and do this show every week. The people that are like, look, we still had good download numbers last year, because people are like, this is such a frustrating, miserable experience. I need to hear a couple guys talk about this, that, maybe I agree with Mike this week. Maybe I agree with Jeff this week. Like,
No one ever agrees with me, but
no,
that's
I
fair.
know. I do, but I can sense
Oh,
even all the way
awesome.
down here. But like, it's important that you guys do stuff like this, even when times are going tough, because there are fans out there that want to listen. They want to think this is like, why? If it's all crap, then hey, fine, it's all crap. You got to talk about it.
We'll all go down
Thank
in the
you.
pile together. All
Yeah,
right, friends?
there is no better way to end your hit than that. We will see you soon, Thomas. Always a pleasure, and keep doing what you're doing, buddy.
Thank you guys.
All right,
Thanks, buddy.
cheers. Oh, Canada,
That was-
elbows up.
That was Thomas Benzone from the Blazing Musket. Always great to have Thomas on. We'll wrap it up there. Jeffrey, you got a movie to finish up, so we'll let
I
you
got
go.
2 movies to finish up. My goodness.
Sorry, 2. There
Yeah.
you go. So that's why we've kind of not been able to be on as regular as we hope. Once that gets done and I'm done with my J schedule, we should be okay. Thanks again.
Yes,
for
Smitsvids. We
listening.
did talk about the protests earlier.
Yes, we did at the earlier. Yeah.
Sorry, Calcio-Culo. I wanted to get more in depth on the Sportico thing, but Mike apparently thinks that they're the worst, so we're not going to.
I don't think they're the worst. I think they're just not accurate. But anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Toronto Till I Die. Find us on all the socials. If you're listening on podcast version, 5 stars would be great. If you are watching us for the first time or for the 5th time or for the 50th time and haven't hit the subscribe button on YouTube and the thumbs
What's
up,
wrong with
do
you?
So we would love that. For Jeffrey P. Nesker, I'm Mike Newell. We'll see you next week. Cheers, everybody. Bye.
And wait, and baby, I'm TFC till I die.